Yeah.
So how can
So
he?
it's not.
Ma'am, you're not speaking.
So it's
Yeah,
not.
let the man speak.
You're not
Both of
speaking
you.
either.
You're not
The judge
speaking
is
and you're
talking.
not a
You're not
man.
speaking
Learn how
either.
to be.
Plaintiffs Michael Hunter and Lisa Semide claim that the defendant stopped paying his portion of the rent when Lisa moved into their shared apartment. They're suing for $2,550. Defendant Joel Turner claims his cousin's girlfriend upset the balance in the house, so he shouldn't have to pay rent for a hostile environment.
Michael and Lisa, you are suing Joel for $2,550 for 2 months of unpaid rent.
That's basically my cousin. He needs to man up and pay me the money he owes me. And, you know, that's the bottom line. We had an agreement, and he didn't keep his end of the bargain, sir.
And what is that agreement?
The agreement was that he was going to pay half the rent, and I was going to pay half the rent. That's what we agreed
How
upon.
long have you been living in?
He basically been living with me a little over 2 years. He was living with my aunt, which is
Yes.
his mother. He was living with her, and he said, you know, he wasn't having the privacy he wanted. So he asked me, look, you have a bigger place. Could I rent out one of the rooms there? So he said, I'll pay you half the rent. I said, you know, not a problem. I ran it by the landlord. The landlord didn't have a problem with it.
And Joel, are you on the lease?
Yes, I am.
So both of you.
He's not on the lease.
Yeah, everything's under my name, and I've been
that
paying.
piece.
So now what became the problem?
The problem became, I have no ill will towards him. That's my cousin. I love him to death. You know, when I was younger, my half brother passed away in a motorcycle accident.
He's
and
not on the lease.
and I know, but my half brother passed away in a motorcycle accident, and since that time, that our parents look at that and they said, you know what, we got to keep the family together more. They kept me and him around each other. I lived in the Bronx, he lived in Yonkers, so they made an effort to have us around each other all the time. In essence, he became like my little brother, so I love him to death, but he had an agreement and he didn't keep up on his end of the agreement.
Well, I kept my agreement.
So what months weren't paid for? What happened?
Me and my girlfriend been together 3 years. On Valentine's Day, where her apartment, her lease was expiring at the end of the month. On Valentine's Day, I told her I wanted things to progress higher with us. I want us to move to the next level. I asked her to move in. She agreed. Then I let him know what the situation was. He said okay, and then once it happened, they didn't get along. He started with she should pay this part of the rent and everything. I'm like, look, she's not.
Okay.
Hang on.
Okay. She see how he just disrespectful, but she's going to school. I took her to home. Look, she's in my room, in my space, there with me. Don't worry about it. The lease and everything's in my name. Everything's on me. I've been paying the rent, and he been paying it. He been paying his part, but he never gives the whole rent. It's an excuse after excuse after excuse.
I pay rent here. She doesn't do anything.
You don't pay rent
Okay,
there.
she don't pay. I pay. I work. My
No,
rent is paid in
me
cash
too,
money.
but you don't pay rent.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
We pay rent while we're here.
Whatever. Talk to the hand, man. Talk to the hand. Like I
This
said.
is a female
Okay.
stuff. This is
Okay.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
this
He want
is
to act
a-
like
ain't
me
no
so
female
bad.
stuff.
Yeah.
He
Ain't
wants
no
to act
female
like
acting
me.
like
It
a
doesn't
girl
make
right
no
now.
sense. It does
Okay.
not make no sense
You
at
arguing
all.
with a female?
Whatever.
Like,
Whatever. Thank you.
that's very manly.
I'll show you
So-
manly.
Okay, so both of you then were
Roommates, yeah.
So now what became the problem?
Shortly before she moved in, he was moving. She brought me a couch, a new couch for the house, a brand new couch, Valentine's Day present. He decided to do me the favor, which I did appreciate since I was working, to unbox it and put it together. During that time, now he claims he hurt his back. I go to work, I come home, he's in the same spot he's in. And I'm like, what happened? Did you went to the doctor? Yeah, I went to the doctor. The doctor told me I can't work.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. I let the landlord know. And I'm up here asking, well, what you gonna do as far as rent money goes? We still gotta pay the rent and everything. He's telling me, oh, don't worry about it. I spoke to the doctor. I'm gonna get a disability check and I'm gonna get unemployment since I'm not working now. And still to this day, the landlord asked me, can I see a doctor's letter or anything like that? Still to this day, I haven't seen no doctor's letter. He hasn't got no unemployment check, no disability check, no nothing.
Okay, but you're suing him because there's 2 months rent you're saying he owes.
Yes, he didn't
Okay,
pay.
why did you move out?
I basically moved out because she's very hostile, very, very controlling. Try to tell me what to do, bosses me around. She
No, I
sit to,
I do
I'm
not.
no, excuse me. I'm talking
I'm not
right
taking
now. I'm
care of no
talking.
grown
I'm
man
talking.
other than the man
That's
that
all
I'm
I was
taking
saying, Your
care
Honor.
of, not
That's all I'm
you.
saying.
Okay.
Stay in your place, please. Thank
I'm
you.
not. This is what we're
Let him-
talking
let him
about. This
speak,
is why
man.
he has to move.
Okay,
It's not.
Let him speak.
Thank
It's
you.
his time.
Some order in here. I sit up here, come home from work, okay, and she tells me, go mop the floors, do this and that. I have to deal with loudness, blasting music, and she purposely eats my food, okay?
You eat our food.
Okay,
You in the
you eat my
house. We're
food,
together.
okay? You eat
Just
my
so don't
food,
eat nothing. Don't
okay?
touch nothing. Don't nothing.
You always eat my food. I can
We're in the house.
anything.
What are you
anything.
talking
Please
about?
look
Like,
into
don't
judged
make no
first.
sense.
He
Somebody
could've
please
judged.
put
Alright.
a leash on this, please. Somebody, please.
This is what I'm saying. The leash needs to be
please.
put on you.
Please, please.
You
All
need
right.
to go get a check.
Why don't you like
Because he
it?
needs to get a check. Michael is very kind,
Yeah.
right? Michael's very kind, and I know that for I'm dealing with him. I'm not finna sit here, take care of him and him. If I come home, I clean, I cook, I do whatever for him, not for you.
Clean?
So
Clean?
since I clean,
Clean what?
I clean. It's
Clean
nothing
what?
clean
And
about
clean.
you. Who are you? Like, you get what I'm saying? You his cousin, but he doesn't have to take care of you. Where's your woman?
First of all, that's none of your
Go to your
business.
baby mother
What
house.
what I
Go
tell
to
you,
your
what I
baby
think,
mother house and let her
Okay,
do the
all
things you
right,
need to do.
All right.
guys, wait a second.
I fear for my
Hang on,
life,
sir.
Your Honor.
Sir,
I
the
fear
judge
for-
is speaking. Hang
Your
on one
Honor.
second.
Guys, I
Sir,
understand
judge is
you
speaking.
two don't like each other.
wants to be a comedian.
Okay, but here's the point. These two guys live in this apartment, this house.
Yes.
And you both pay rent. So he
No,
has
he
a
don't,
right.
not no
he
more.
has-
The judge is
I
speaking,
understand
man.
you're arguing about the last 2 months, but prior to this, he has as much right to be there as you are there. You're both paying the rent. So you bring in your girlfriend, which is, I understand, you love her, you want to bring her in, that's
It's his
fine.
lease, it's his
That's
apartment.
fine. But that changes, in a sense, the living situation. So in fairness, having nothing to do with whether these two like each other, since he's paying half the rent, if you're going to change the living situation, that is a discussion you ought to have with him, because he may well say, even if he really liked her, he may well say, you know what? It's awkward for me to live in
Listen,
a house.
I'm sorry, can I say something? But he's not on
when
the
you got
lease to make those type of decisions. When you're on the lease, you make those
I'm on the
decisions.
lease. Maybe- I don't know what
you're
you
asking
mean.
somebody
Okay,
else to stay in
on
their
the lease.
home.
All right, but his
Yeah.
arrangement right now is with your boyfriend.
My arrangements has nothing to do with him, and arrangements that he has with him has nothing to do with me.
Okay, but he may decide. He has the right to decide.
He's not on the lease. He cannot decide
You're
anything, and especially when you're not
interrupting
working.
me. His arrangement before you entered the picture is with Michael. The arrangement between these two cousins was that they each would pay 50%.
Yes.
And he was doing that for most of the time, all the time, except the last 2 months.
If you look
You're
at-
only suing him for the last 2 months.
Yeah, but honestly, Your Honor, if you look at Exhibit B, the landlord says the total really owed is $3,979. He shorted the landlord plenty of times.
You're just suing him for those 2 months' rent. So the only thing I can deal with is the 2 months' rent. You want him to pay that. Does he have any justification for not having
But
paid
he's paying
that?
for a room only. You're
Okay.
paying for a room, and you're not
They're
on the
both
lease.
paying the same amount of
But
money.
it's his apartment.
And
He's not on no lease, and he's only paying for a room. So basically, you're renting out a room. So whatever he's doing with me and his home has nothing
Okay.
to do with him.
Other than you're his girlfriend, I don't know what you have to say about this because
I
you're
am
not
the-
paying any of the money. These two are.
Yes, I am.
So-
You don't know what we do to
Well,
help
that's
because he's
between
not
you
doing
and him.
anything. That's what I'm saying. So it's between all
Okay.
of us because at the end of the day, you don't know what's going on in our relationship. We don't have to tell anybody, oh, I'm helping him. I go to work, I go to school too. So
Yeah.
whatever
Go
portions that
to
I'm
work
giving
where?
him to
Go to
help him,
school.
Hang on.
because you're not paying anything.
Are you?
did.
No, you
Sure
did not.
did.
Michael, you are on the lease, right?
Yes,
He's
sir.
You're
not.
on the lease.
Yes, sir.
So
He's
okay.
making the problem
That's exactly
about
what I'm
me.
just
saying
suing
all
him.
that. She's
If
never-
you
That'll make no
don't
sense.
want
Get
him
your
in
balls
the
back.
The
and
judge
try
is
to-
speaking, sir.
changing the situation by bringing your girlfriend in
Yes.
gave him a legitimate reason that he may very well say, I don't want to live with a guy who's got his
Thank
girlfriend there, period. So
Hang on,
he
hang on.
can
That's what I'm talking
leave
about.
for that. But on the other hand, even if you didn't like the situation, I'm saying you had a right to
Why would you
leave.
stay?
You stayed
The
there
judge
for
is
2
talking.
months.
Let the man speak.
Well, okay.
Right, you
so
need to let me stop being
Ma'am,
disrespectful.
ma'am, that's enough, man.
So you had the right to leave. But you didn't leave right away. You stayed for 2 months.
My life was in danger. I mean,
How
By
was your
who? By
life
me?
in danger? How
life
was your
in
life
danger
in
by
this
me?
woman, you don't know this woman. You don't.
All
She,
right,
I
all
could be,
right,
I
all
could be
right. I'm not even
sleeping at
about to
any
deal with
given
this.
time.
He's
not
right.
in danger
She could
because
sit
of
up
me.
here and roll up on me while I'm sleeping.
You're 6
and-
feet tall, 5'3".
Had
She's
nothing
never
to do
laid,
with it.
she's
When I'm
never
down
laid
there,
a hand on
that's
him,
why
Your
I'm
Honor.
talking
She's never laid a
Okay.
hand on him.
What you need
All right,
to do is
just
get
never
your
laid a
balls
hand
out
on
her
Hey,
purse.
hey, but you stayed there for 2 months. You voluntarily created a situation which he didn't want to live with.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But on the other side, well, you're back. Nice to have you.
Not on
So
my end.
anyway, here's what I'm deciding. 1 month's rent is constructive eviction. He has the right to say, that's not the situation I signed on. I'm not going to pay for that month. But the other
But
rent,
even if
the
he do, he
other
has to
month,
have a notice.
the other month, you will pay the rent because you stayed there for 2 months. If the situation was so untenable, then you just got to leave. You can't live there and decide not to pay rent. You
John.
will pay that 1 month.
Both months,
Last
so
statement,
both
and then I'm
months.
making my ruling.
Both months, because I also
Yo,
have to
Bob,
help him.
hang on,
I also have to help him. So within 2 months, my pay is not for him.
Okay.
My payers don't have to make sure he's good.
Okay.
Nobody
Your
asked him
Honor.
to take their couch unloose or nothing.
Yes.
He didn't have to do any of that to go to work.
Shortly after,
He chose to do
shortly
this.
after I asked her, I came right to him. I came out there to the couch. She was talking to my uncle, and I told
Never
him then that
remember
she was
nothing.
going to be
Nobody
moving
talking
into
to me.
there. And he said, okay, is she going to pay that part of rent? I said, no, but she's going to buy groceries. She's not, at that point, she was going to school to become a home health aide. I'm like, she's going to school. She's not working right now. So,
No matter what discussion you had that apartment before he ever came into the picture.
Yes.
So how can
So
he-
it's not,
Ma'am, you're not speaking.
So it's
Yeah,
not.
let the man speak.
You're not
Both of
speaking
you.
either.
You're not
The judge
speaking
is
and
talking.
you're not a
You're not
man.
speaking
Learn how
either.
to be a man first.
Okay.
I am a man.
No, you're not.
You know.
Lisa,
That's
okay,
your gender,
you've
not
got to
what
leave.
you
Ma'am, you can leave. You
You've
can
got to
leave.
leave, and I'm making a
leave.
decision now. And the decision I'm making
Don't
is
let the
that
door hit you on
regardless
the
of
way
whether
out.
they
Stop
had that
speaking, sir.
discussion,
Conduct yourself like a man. Stop talking.
Stop.
The judge is speaking.
regardless of that discussion you had, etc.,
sir.
he didn't talk you into getting that apartment. You got it before he was even in the picture.
Yes, sir.
So that's something you took on. He can voluntarily decide, because you invited him in, he paid half the rent, he can voluntarily decide at any time, you know what? No matter what I said when you first said you're bringing your girlfriend, because the first reaction would often be, yeah, sure, fine. He doesn't want a confrontation. He's bringing a girlfriend. He saw very quickly that the chemistry between the two of them didn't work. And so therefore he wanted out. So it's perfectly okay that he decides to leave. What is not okay is that you stayed there for 2 months
Your
and
Honor.
not pay the rent. Last statement, and then I'm ruling.
Those months I was staying there, okay, she pushed a couch against the door, and I had to move it. That's how I hurt my back. I hurt my back, and I couldn't work.
Okay.
ask
Okay, it
him.
was
He has
a
a
heavy
doctor's
couch.
letter.
It's not relevant because you can go with your bad back to a different place to live. So that doesn't, in other words, it doesn't get to the question of you were there for 2 months. I'm not saying you got to pay for both months. I understand the situation changed. It is not something you wanted to be in. And so for 1 month, you don't have to pay. But for one of those 2 months, you will pay. So I find for the plaintiff, not in the sum of the $2,500, but for the sum of $1,275.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Woman is totally unworkable, unlivable. It's like living with a wild animal. And that's to break it down simple.
He probably want a girlfriend like me. He want an outspoken girlfriend like me. He's mad because I'm
Jealousy.
outspoken and I'm not about to sit here and let nobody cross over my feet. And that's just what it is.
Thanks for watching. Now please approach the bench. The way I look at it, you have two options here. Option A, watch more Judge Jerry. Option B, watch more Jerry Springer. The choice is yours. Now get out of my courtroom. You have more clips to watch. And don't forget to subscribe.